welcome back to Hour 3 of the Kuhner Report. 617-266-6868 is the number. 805 here on the great WRKO and now on 93.7 HD2. We have just made some very serious news here on the Kuhner Report over the last half an hour. We are in studio with Republican candidate for governor, Mark Fisher. He is challenging Charlie Baker, who was the nominee in 2010, the presumptive frontrunner. He now has made the explosive allegations that two members of the state Republican Party, Steve Alward, acting as the middleman, and John Cook, a major state fundraiser, approached him in December, approached Mark Fisher, and offered him $1 million to step out of the race, to drop out of the primary against Charlie Baker, run for another office, and they would put that $1 million in a separate campaign account for him, essentially a bribe. He has named two specific people. The ringmaster was John Cook. The intermediary was Stephen Alward. 617-266-6868 is the number. Now, we're usually joined by Holly Robichaud. She's a columnist at the Boston Herald, a major Republican strategist. She's now coming on to basically have a discussion with Mark. She has a couple of problems with some of his story. Holly Robichaud, thank you so much for coming on the Kuhner Report.
Yeah, I'd say good Monday morning, but I don't like what I've just been hearing. I want to first start off with Jeff with just giving people a description of how long I've been involved with the party. Okay, I might not always agree with the establishment that runs our party, but I'm still a party supporter when it comes down to it. I have devoted the last 25 years of my life to electing Republicans. Okay, and it's whether it's been I've been a paid consultant, but 50% of the work that I do out there is as a volunteer. I've given up countless of weekends to go across the country to train Republicans on how to run for office. I have worked my butt off, okay? You know me, Jeff. You can get me on the phone pretty much any time because I am always at my desk working, okay? The gas tax initiative was my idea, okay, and I pulled these groups of volunteers together to get this to go. For Fisher to say he was involved with it is not true, okay? Steve Alward, I've known him, okay? He is the salt of the earth, and for him to suggest that he was involved in any sort of thing like this disgusts me, okay? This is the problem between Mark Fisher, is he has not been involved. Okay, last summer, I did a race out in his area, out in Worcester, for Carol Claros for state representative. There was no Mark Fisher helping us. Where was he last year? He has not given up any of his time or life to help the party. What he is doing now is hurting the party. Steve Alward has put in countless hours to go out there and get signatures to put Mike Sullivan on the ballot, to put the gas tax on the ballot, okay? This is a man I talk to 5 or 6 times a day about the gas tax initiative. And for him to suggest something like this, when somebody asks you to run for a different office, it is not to say you're bribing you. It is to make a suggestion that you had no flippin' chance of winning for governor and that you might consider running for an office. But to suggest that he was involved in any kind of bribe disgusts me. Absolutely disgusting.
Okay, Holly, I just want to give
somebody that has not been involved in this party to make such an allegation suggests to me that he's not a Republican, that he's a Democrat. Because this morning, Jeff, we should be talking about Martha Coakley and the dumb stuff that she has done in the past week, but we're not. We're talking about some guy who's making phony allegations about a good friend of mine.
Okay, Holly, let's just give Mark Fisher a chance to respond. Mark, she's known Steve Alward for decades. Mm-hmm. He's a great guy. He's a key man behind the Tank the Gas Tax movement. He would never be involved in anything like this. Holly was spearheading it. She says you were trying to take credit for it. You weren't really involved in it. Basically, are you a plant for the Democrats to sow disarray within the GOP?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Quite a few things that Holly brought up there. I guess first I'd like to start off with you have to talk to Steve. I mean, he's not.
I have talked to Steve.
You have to.
He says you're lying.
you have to talk to Steve, and
I have 3 times yesterday afternoon after the Boston Globe called.
there are a lot of things that Holly mentioned, and like I started to say a couple times here now, you have to talk to Steve. One of the things that Holly first mentioned was I wasn't involved in the repeal of the gas tax. Steve came to my office. He dropped off the sheets. I collected signatures.
You did not.
Talk to Steve. He can't deny that.
I have talked to Steve.
He can't deny that. And then secondly, I was team captain for Mike Sullivan in Shrewsbury.
Hold on, Holly.
Holly,
let him finish. You'll have a chance to.
We didn't have any meeting.
No, Holly, hold on. Holly, just let him finish, and then you'll have a chance to rebut his charges. Okay? Just let him speak. Go ahead, shoot.
So, with regard to the tank the gas tax thing, you just talk to Steve. He can't deny that he was there. He dropped off sheets. I didn't collect a ton of them.
Because somebody dropped off sheets doesn't mean you went out and got signatures.
I went out and I got signatures. I have pictures of it. People were there.
Okay, Holly, please, just let him finish, Holly, because you made several accusations. Just to be fair, give him a chance, equal time, and then we'll come back to you. I understand you're upset, Holly, but just let him finish. Keep going, Mark.
There were a number of issues that Holly mentioned, and just to get off of the gas tax one, you can talk to Chris Pinto. He was there when I was at grocery stores collecting signatures and giving them to my employees. The sheets that Steve Alward gave me, we went out and we got not a 1,000 like Holly has done, but yes, I was involved in it.
How many did you get?
I don't know.
There you go.
Seven sheets worth.
Everybody that knows how many signatures they got.
Well, I don't. But I was involved in it. And then secondly, to say I was not involved in Republican I was vice chairman of the Shrewsbury Town Committee. I was team captain for Mike Sullivan in a campaign in Shrewsbury. I mean, how can
you weren't, because nobody can find you on any list.
Talk to Kate Campanelli.
Sullivan.
I mean, we've been through this over and over. Come on, Holly. I mean, this is easily provable, and this is easily provable. How can you say that? I was team captain for Mike Sullivan, Shrewsbury.
You called Desiree, okay, who was ahead of that, and she has no record of you being involved
whatsoever. Talk to Kate Campanelli, who's running for state rep. I mean, that was able to put the nail in the coffin when other people had raised that. I don't know why it is with you. I don't know.
Holly, I just want to ask you a couple questions. So, look, you don't believe his allegations. But
no.
There's 2 points I want to make, just to be fair to Mark Fisher. Number one, he's very specific about Steve Alward. He's very specific about John Cook. Now, if he's not telling the truth, he's opening himself up to a massive lawsuit.
Yeah,
I mean, we're talking slander. If it's not true, I say if, because, I don't know, I wasn't there. But if what he's saying is not true, if it's false, they both have the mother of slander lawsuits. This is defamation. So, A, why would he be doing that, risking himself to have this kind of potential, litigation? And number two, to be fair to him, he's here without his lawyer. He's in the studio. His lawyer is not here. Now, his lawyer has made other comments to the Globe that I challenged him on, which to me I think doesn't help Mark's cause, but that's another issue. My point is he's here without a lawyer. He's made two very specific charges. If he's not telling the truth, this guy's going to be in court for a long time, and it's going to cost him a lot of money.
I hope so. Okay, this is a man that's trying to shake down the party for $1 million. Okay, you just had him on. He would not say, what he would drop the lawsuit for because he says he has damages. Well, when you get involved in politics and you run for office, you take those chances. This is what you have to do. It is not a profit-making business to run for office. It is about public service. And Mark Fisher seems to not realize that.
Holly, let me ask you this, and I want to kick it back to Mark Fisher. Do you think that Mark Fisher is simply an opportunist who is using this to personally enrich himself? Or do you believe what you sort of hinted at earlier, that there's something even more nefarious? That he's making these wild accusations, in your view, because he wants to discredit Charlie Baker, discredit the Republican Party, and essentially hand the election over to the Democrats?
I don't know what his motivations are, but I can tell you that when you look at the actions, this does not seem as a guy that wants to win the nomination and then win the general election. This seems as a determined plan to hurt the Republican Party. He's not helping the Republican Party. He got what he wanted to get on the ballot. Okay, and now he's making these allegations, which are not true, okay, to further hurt the Republican Party. Okay, this is not helpful. we're all focused in on trying to make sure that we win the corner office. I don't know what Mark Fisher's trying to do, but what he is doing is not helping the Republican Party that I have spent a quarter of the century trying to promote. And I am disgusted by his actions.
Mark, what do you say to her accusations that this is not helping anybody at this point? Naming these two people is just going to smear the Republican Party, that, you know, you do take chances when you run. It's not a profit-making venture. This is what happens when you run. This is what it is to be a candidate. So all you're doing right now is helping the Democrats and badly dividing Republicans.
I guess two things, Jeff. First, I'm not looking to be made whole of any money I've either donated or loaned into the campaign. Holly's right on that. It's just that, and again, Ed McGrath, attorney for the Mass GOP, agrees with this.
Wait a minute.
We're talking about reasonable damages. And the second part is this. Think about the Mass GOP. Where are we? What have we won recently? And the membership is just dwindling and dwindling, and something is wrong. So if they think things are falling apart, well, maybe they are, but as far as I'm concerned, they're falling into place. We're looking at those people who've left the party, who are disenfranchised, who are conservative independents, Reagan Democrats, and all the other groups that I mentioned earlier. We want to bring those people back in. You know, I'm not pointing fingers at people. I'm reaching out my hand to those people who are disenfranchised, and that's how we win elections. That's how we win elections. We need more of the pie here.
What election have you won to lecture anybody else?
Exactly. I'm the political outsider that this state needs.
No, you answer the question, because you've not been answering questions, okay? Jeff asked you for a money amount. You wouldn't give it. Okay? What election have you won?
Jeff mentioned $100,000, like was mentioned at the last press conference, and that is in the ballpark.
Steve Elwood has done more to recruit people into this party to work for, you know, the gas tax, to get people motivated than you ever have.
There are two visions out there. One is by a candidate who Deval Patrick says is his identical twin. His name is Charlie Baker. I have a different vision. It's a conservative vision. Let's put them up together and see who wins.
What election have you won to be lecturing anybody else?
She's saying I've
never run for office.
So her point is
you've been involved in a campaign that has won, right?
What campaigns have we won recently? Like I said, I was team captain for Mike Sullivan.
We doubled our numbers in the House. Didn't you know that?
Good for you.
Well, for a party, it would be good for us. But you're not a member of this party.
Oh, give me a break.
Give you a break? You're not answering questions.
I'm answering them. You don't like the answers. I did collect signatures for the gas tax. I was vice chairman for Shrewsbury. I was team captain for Mike Sullivan. My goodness gracious.
Well, Holly, to be fair, fair is fair. Holly, what elections has Charlie Baker won?
Charlie Baker, since 2010, has been out there helping every candidate fundraise. Okay, he's been there at every fundraiser. He's been there at Sean O'Connell's fundraisers. He's been there at Jeff Deal's fundraisers. He's been there.
Oh, and you're saying Mark Fisher has been nowhere in terms of helping Republican candidates?
I haven't seen him.
Okay, so
this is public information. You know, OCPF. You can look at me and see who I've donated to, and to the party. What candidates, and to the party. So it's not between Holly and I. It's public information.
So okay, and just to be clear, so Mark, you're saying you have helped Republican candidates. No. You have donated money. This is not part of an effort on your part to split the GOP or help the Democrats get elected in November.
It's not the party is already split. It's fractured horribly. I'm trying to bring it together.
Holly, any final words before I let you go?
Anybody that has ever met Steve Elwood knows what an honorable, hardworking guy and how many hours he put in on this gas tax initiative. Okay? And what Mark Fisher had to say, not understanding the difference between somebody suggesting to run for a different office versus a bribe, it just disgusts me beyond belief that somebody would do this. And if he doesn't understand that he is further fracturing the party and that this is not helpful and dragging our party through the mud, I mean, to me it sounds like we should be questioning his motives as to why he's doing this. And he wouldn't give you an answer on the show about what kind of money it takes to get him out of this race. Okay? And our party, for him to even suggest that he wants money from our party, that's taking money away from all of the state reps and all the state Senate candidates that are out there right now working hard to try to get themselves elected. That's not a team player. That's somebody out for themselves.
Holly, you know Steve Allward, correct? You said you speak with him 5 or 6 times a day during the gas tax, correct?
Yes.
Can you get Steve on the show?
Yeah, I'll try to talk to him.
Yeah, if we can get him on the show, we could clear this up right here, right now.
Okay, but I believe he said it all to the Globe. He
did. No, I mean, in fact, to be fair, and I was mentioning this to Mark during the break, in the Globe today, Allward acknowledged on yesterday, that he had spoken to Fisher. He called Fisher to encourage him to run for a different position, but denied that he mentioned money. Quote, "The Republicans need people to run for all offices, so there was just a polite suggestion on my part that maybe he should run for another office," Allward said. Fisher, however, contends that Allward named a specific dollar amount as a, quote, incentive to leave the race. He declined to get into specifics Sunday, but said during a press conference this month that Massachusetts Republican Party officials offered him $1 million to drop out. Allward, however, is adamant that he never offered money, that money was not involved. It was just, hey, Mark, why don't you run for another office? So, I mean, it'd be nice if Steve Allward would call and we could finally get full and final clarification. My friends, I'm up against it. I gotta go. All of your calls next. Your calls with Mark Fisher. 617-266-6868 is the number. 821 here on the great WRKO. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to the Kuhner Report. 617-266-6868 is the number. 826 here on the great WRKO. Hannah Kane. We're now joined by Hannah Kane. She is the vice chair, I believe, of the Shrewsbury Republican Committee. Ms. Kane, thank you so much for coming on the Kuhner Report.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, Ms. Kane, so you served with Mark Fisher?
Oh, no, I haven't served with Mark Fisher. I actually haven't met Mark Fisher.
Oh, okay.
Nope. Yeah, I have not seen him at any of our Republican Town Committee events. I've been the vice chair for 4 years now. And Shrewsbury, as you probably know, is sort of a hotbed for Republican activity. 4 of our 5 Board of Selectmen are Republicans, and while they don't run as Republicans, they are Republicans. We have a great state rep who I'm fortunate to have chaired his campaign twice to be elected state representative, and he won with a large margin in Shrewsbury. And I'm also very politically active helping out Karen Polito, who's our hometown lieutenant governor candidate, and Charlie Baker, who my husband and I both worked for and with back during Governor Weldon, Lieutenant Governor Salucci's terms in office.
So, but hold on, but Mark Fisher says he was on the Shrewsbury Republican Committee, correct?
He may have been on there when Lincoln was a Republican and active, but not in my time.
Okay, Mark, what do you say to that? You've been there for how long, Hannah Kane?
Well, I've lived in Shrewsbury for 17 years. I've been a registered Republican all of my life, and I've been active in Shrewsbury politics since I moved here. I have not seen or met Mark Fisher in my time here.
So basically for the last, 17 years?
I've been here for 17 years.
Mark, 17 years. She's been there. She's been on the committee. She said you were never there. She never saw you.
I was vice chair when Mike Hare was the chair, Michael Hare, and when Joe Manzoli recruited me to become vice chairman. And she can speak with some of the guys there, George Lamoth and Kenny Swift and Vin DeLeo and Roger Babb. They all know me. I worked with Jeff Beaton to help him pass or put on the floor House Bill 333. I've been active. I don't know why they say I'm not. I was team captain for Mike Sullivan just in the last election cycle. I don't understand it.
Gary, you're up next. Welcome. You're on with Mark Fisher.
Morning, Jeff. This is Gary from Saugus. You guys know who I am. I worked with Steve Allward with this gas tax. He's been at my house. He's met my family. I've been on the phone with Holly. I collected over 1,000 signatures by myself, made my own tables. I've never seen Mark Fisher. I've never heard of him. I didn't see him in Saugus, Jeff, at the party a few months ago. It was me, you, Holly, and everybody else there. So I'll be very upset if I hear that Steve Allwood did this, because I feel he's a very good guy. I'm a good judge of personality and character, and I don't think he would ever do this to the Republican Party.
So basically, Gary, what you're saying is you don't believe Mark Fisher. All right, my friends, more with your calls, 829 here on the Great WRKO. Your chance to talk to Mark Fisher, 617-266-6868. He says John Cook, Steve Allwood were the two men that approached him and offered him a $1 million bribe. Do you believe him? Do you not believe him? All of your calls next. Welcome back to the Kuhner Report. 617-266-6868 is the number. Mark Fisher is in the studio. He's Republican candidate for governor. He has now named the two individuals that he says approached him last December to drop out of the primary race against Charlie Baker, Steve Allwood and John Cook. Allwood is a longtime Republican official. Forgive me. He's a committee member. My bad. He's a Republican committee member. And John Cook is a longtime state Republican fundraiser. We've been calling Allwood now. Cooksy's been calling Allwood now for the last hour, but he is not answering for whatever reason. So hopefully we'll get Steve Allwood on if we can later today. If not, maybe tomorrow. But Mr. Fisher, Mark has now alleged on the show that John Cook offered him $1 million as a monetary incentive to drop out of the race against Charlie Baker, have him run for another office, and deposit the $1 million in a separate campaign account, essentially a bribe. Do you believe him? Do you not believe him? 617-266-6868. Steve, you're up next. Thanks for holding.
Yeah,
you're on WRKO.
Morning.
Welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure.
And I am a part-time co-host at times at a conservative radio program. I have interviewed Mark Fisher probably 3 months ago. I asked him if he wanted Olga Roche to resign, and he said yes. We have not heard from Charlie Baker until the very last day. You have a female on the program whose hormones are screwed up, and who probably didn't take her meds this morning. It is not about Holly Robichaud. It's not about her job as a paid consultant. It's not about the work she's done. All the more kudos to her. It is about a man who stands up, who wants to clean out the rot. He's doing it the best he can. He is sincere. He goes to small meetings with Tea Party members. He's been at the State House against the illegal driver license issue. Okay, I've seen the video. Your show is turning into a cheap tabloid, my friend. I thought you were smarter than that. Thank you.
Yeah, but what did I do? I mean, I had him on. He made his allegations. Holly Robichaud is very big in Republican circles. She came on. We always have her on at 8:05. She rebutted him. We had a good, robust debate. I mean, that's part of my job.
Hey, Jeff, to your credit, unlike some of the other callers have come in, I never said that Steve was part of the offer or part of the bribe or anything like that. Steve is a good guy. I agree with the people who've called in. And the offer was coming from John Cook. Steve was only the messenger. I mean, those people who are calling in and trying to say that I'm trashing Steve or throwing him on the bus, that's not the case. And I don't know if they're doing that to sort of paint me in a bad light, but you've got it right. It's Cook that was always the guy who's going to be making the offer, and Steve's just the guy in the middle, the guy, the messenger, and nothing. I mean, Steve is a great guy. We all agree on that. Steve is a great guy.
Yeah, you're saying that he was the middleman, the messenger on behalf of John Cook. John Cook, the big fundraiser, the state GOP fundraiser, he's the guy that offered you, as you told the Globe, a monetary incentive to drop out of the race.
Right. And like I said earlier on the show, that Steve and I were saying, I didn't want to even talk to John, and he encouraged me to do so. Mark, even if you don't want to do, but just, come on, these are the guys in the party, blah blah blah. But there was never any attempt on Steve's part to coerce or twist my hand or make the offer or anything like that. He was just doing the role that he was asked to do, and to contact me because he knew me, and then to refer me to John Cook. That's all he did. There's nothing wrong with that.
617-266-6868. John, you're up next. Thanks for holding. You're on WRKO. Go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Kuhner. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you, John?
Very well, thank you. I just want to say a couple of quick things. Mr. Fisher, I'm going to speak of some things, but I would just appreciate it if you just listen to what I have to say, and then I'll let you inject with it. Okay? And please, do not interrupt me. You know everything I'm about to say to you is true. Okay? What occurred with you was an offer of support. You know very well that it's been going on in politics since the beginning of time. You want to redefine that, just like people want to redefine the word marriage. Now, I know you don't support gay marriage, so let's not go off in the weeds on that. You want to redefine what an offer of support is. Now, you want to call it a bribe. Okay? So people like you are the problem. And in the way that you treated Ms. Robichaud, whether you disagree with her or not, I want you to go onto YouTube later or to listen to this on the RKO channel, because I'm sure it will be posted, your interview with her. Okay? You don't have the character to be governor of the state. And you listen to that. And if you disagree with me, it's only because you're a narcissist and you're self-absorbed. But you just listen to the way that you treated her on a public airway. Okay? So how dare you? You're stirring the pot and you're redefining something that is 100% legal and legitimate. Now, I have been a supporter of conservative politics in this state for many years. I am a regular contributor to very significant discussions on this particular program. I don't have to validate myself to you, my friend. I have forged long-standing relationships in this state. Okay? I mean, you're something else. You're duping people the same way the president dupes people. You're duping people by throwing out buzzwords like bribe, okay? It's incredible. What I'm going to just play your game. I think you're annoyed that you can't pocket the $1 million. You don't want to be a state rep, so that offer's not good enough for you, okay? How dare you, man? All right, you're just ripping everything up. You're not going anywhere. Nobody, even if, say, the bribe thing that you call it really happened, do you think people will support somebody once they listen to how you treated Holly Robichaud and really analyze it?
Thank you for that call, John. Mark, what do you say to the argument that he's making, which is they maybe just said, hey, look, Mark, we don't need an inter-party fight for the governorship. Why don't you run for another office? And if you need some financial support to help raise money, we're willing to help you raise money. Right. And they're saying you're making a mountain out of a molehill. Suddenly this has now become corruption and bribery. What do you say to that argument?
I've heard two lawyers say one it's okay and one it isn't okay. I've heard one lawyer say that is it a bribe and it's extortion. These are their words to me. It came first from them. I mean, I'm just repeating their words. And then secondly, I would be very happy to have the YouTube video of my being interrupted by Holly over and over and over again and being cool, calm, and collected, and having you have to keep telling her that, come on, let's be fair, let's be fair, let's be fair. That's the type of person I think we want as governor, to face these hard issues and own up to them and behave in a civil way.
Donna, you're up next on WRKO. Go.
Oh, I'm sick about this. I haven't decided who I'm going to pick yet in the primary. The Republican leadership needs to focus its energies on beating the left, not cutting or reducing the people's choice out of the primary. If they let all the qualifiers run and let the voters choose who we want, then none of this would even be happening. It makes me ill. So, Mark, my question regarding the money on this, because it seems to be a major issue, regarding your not needing the full $1 million, do you still need the matching funds that you lost to run in the election if you won the primary, or were the matching funds just to get on the primary? Because if it's just to get on the primary and you're now on it, you don't need the money. But if it's still to use the money for running in the election or even to get votes for the primary, then you did lose it and it's legitimate to go after. I need to know the difference.
Yeah, we didn't yet lose the matching funds. In order to qualify for the matching funds, we had to raise $75,000 basically by the end of the month. I think it's a couple days into June, perhaps. So there's still a chance to do that, and that's what I'm encouraging my contributors to do that. Here's the thing. Since the convention, a lot of my supporters, the campaign was damaged to the extent that a lot of my supporters tore up the signature sheets. It was all over. They threw them away. And they weren't giving to... Why should they donate to a guy who's not going to be on the primary ballot? The campaign was sort of in limbo or stalled. That's truly damaged. And that prevented us from raising the $75,000 in the time from the convention to now. And now we just have, another week and a half to go. So we haven't lost it yet. I'm still hopeful that we can, and hopefully we will.
We're talking with Mark Fisher, Republican candidate for governor. Paul, you're up next on the Kuhner Report. Welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning,
Mark.
Good morning.
Unlike some prior callers, I don't have any personal relationship with anybody involved here. Just as a lifelong Massachusetts conservative, I have a couple questions for you, Mark. I'd like to be a little interactive on this.
Sure.
I'm not going to challenge what you've said or anything anybody else has said, but so somebody comes up to you and says, hey, listen, we don't want you running for governor. It doesn't help anybody. You go do this. Whether it was a bribe or a offer of support to go elsewhere, you hope to gain for A, yourself, and B, for our common cause. I mean, we're all on the same team here. Even the people who are fighting at this point are all on the same team. What goals do you hope to achieve towards your cause and our cause by doing this? Because I don't see, one, you're certainly not making a lot of friends right now, Mark. I mean, that's not happening. I mean, even those of us, I don't know you from Job, but if I have a legitimate other person to vote for who doesn't have this kind of cloud hanging over his head, who has a legitimate platform as well, why would I vote for somebody with a cloud over his head? I mean, I don't mean to be offensive, but that's what, as a voter, if I'm looking at two guys and, one of them has this suspicion about him, why would I vote for him? And I just don't see that this makes any sense other than, sadly, it doesn't seem to get to your goals, or at least your purported goals. And hello?
Paul, we're listening. What do you say to Paul's argument, which is,
good question.
Mark, you're not helping yourself. Even if you end up winning your lawsuit, this is going to taint you. It's hurting the party. You're not doing yourself any favors.
It's a great question. Why am I doing this? Why did I start in the campaign? It's to show that you can run as a conservative in Massachusetts and win. And I think that's how we have to run. I mean, I'm tired of the Gomez candidates who support Barack Obama. Former Governor Weld supporting Obama, running as a Democrat in the state. I mean, that is a philosophy. I'm just not buying into it. Actually, I'm sickened by it. I think we have to run, and I call it the full platform, running the conservative platform. Like the prior caller suggested, let's give two views. Let the voters decide. What's so wrong about that? Aren't we all for diversity and openness? Why can't we have a conservative run in Massachusetts? What are people so afraid of that for? We've shown that the Democrat light doesn't win here in Massachusetts. That's all I'm after. By the way, nobody knew me when we kicked off in December. And in 3 months at the convention, we won. We won 2 Senate districts. How does that happen? And we tied in another. How does that happen? I do have support out there. And all those groups that I talked to, I'm bringing those people, I'm trying to bring them back into the party. I don't think the party wants that. I think they want to keep it fractured. Have their little gated community with their cocktail Republicans. They don't think the Tea Party exists. It does. It's vocal. It does a lot of work. I want to bring them back into the Republican Party. A lot of them sat out the last few elections. They wouldn't vote for Gomez. They didn't vote for Scott Brown the second time around. They're looking for somebody like me that stands up and says, I'm not ashamed to be a Republican, a conservative Republican. That's why I'm doing this.
We're talking with Mark Fisher, Republican candidate for governor. Representative, who do we have on, Cooks? Matt Beacon. He's a Matt Beaton, representative from Shrewsbury. Representative Beaton, thank you so much for coming on the Kuhner Report.
Hi, Jeff. So, thank you so much. And Mark, nice to speak with you. I just wanted to call and clear up one thing. Earlier in the show, Mr. Fisher said we worked together on a piece of legislation. First of all, just to give a sense, a general outline of sort of the level of our and the depth of our relationship, Mr. Fisher didn't even get my name right. It's Representative Matt Beaton. So I just wanted to clarify in that closeness of our relationship. But in addition, I wouldn't necessarily call what we did together working on legislation. We had one meeting and I filed a piece of legislation on behalf of an entire working group, but that's a whole other story. I just really wanted to call in because I am there's no question about it. I've been a very big advocate for Charlie Baker, and I've gotten to the point where I'm disgusted to see what's happening to my party because of this issue, and it's happening from a gentleman who said he's been a Republican his whole life, and I just don't understand it because I've been very active in local politics, state politics. I had never met Mr. Fisher before this one meeting that he spoke of, and I'm just wondering where this lifelong Republicanism is because I've never seen him at any one of my events, an event in town, a Republican town committee. I just don't understand it. And to see what he's doing to our party, for someone who's been working for our party for so long, trying to unite our party, to see this happening in my own hometown is just very upsetting.
Mark, what do you say to this guy's Representative Beaton? He's in your neck of the woods, Shrewsbury. He says he only met you once. He says you're not really that active in politics. Your claims are really not true. What do you say to his argument?
It's the same answer that I gave to, I think it was Miss Dane who called in, who's the current...
Kane, Hannah Kane.
Who's the current vice chairman of the Shrewsbury Republican Town Committee. I mean, we meet every now and then, Saturday mornings at the old Black Diamond and have coffee. I've met Matt there. We've talked. We've been out in the parking lot and talking about issues and stuff and about that House Bill 333. I don't know what I can say. I mean, I was vice chair there. I worked for Mike Sullivan. I was the team captain in Shrewsbury. All these other fellows that I mentioned, George Lamoth, Ken Swift, Vinny DeLeo, Roger Babb, all these guys that are Joe Manzoli. I mean, our Republican Party locally and in the state, it's been hijacked. Call it Democrat-like, call it Rhino, call it whatever you want to call it. It's been hijacked. And I'm trying to fight back. All the people that have been pushed out, I mentioned all the groups earlier, those are the people that I'm supporting. Do you guys want them in the party, or do you want to keep it fractured? I want them in the party. I want to make a bigger party.
Desiree, you're on with Mark Fisher on the Kuhner Report. Welcome.
Yeah, hello. Thank you very much for having me on. I just wanted to make a statement. There was he said that Steve Illwood was a town captain for Mike Sullivan. I was deputy campaign manager for Mike Sullivan for USN, heavily involved in his campaign, knew exactly what was going on with the field team, knew who the field team was, and Mark was not. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm saying Steve Illwood was not a town captain on the campaign. That's an untrue statement. He was not on the campaign at all. He was not a town captain.
Okay, now hold on. Was Mark Fisher a town captain?
On the campaign? No. Mark was not on the field team at all. He was not a town captain on the campaign.
So, okay, so Desiree, now hold on. We don't want to lose you. So, Mark, now she's saying she worked with Sullivan's campaign. She was in charge of running the field. She oversaw the field. She says, contrary to what you're saying, you were not the town captain.
I was the town captain for Mike Sullivan. You can talk to Kate Campanelli. We have the emails, Jeff, to prove it. If I have to send them to you, we'll do that.
Okay. Desiree, are you 100% sure about this?
Yes, I am. I knew this field team, and I had access to the volunteer list. I maintain them, and he's not on any of the volunteer lists at all. He's not on any of the volunteer lists. He's not on any of the town captain lists. None of them.
Desiree, thank you for that call. 617-266-6868. One more segment. We'll take a few more of your calls. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to the Kuhner Report, 8:58. My friends, we got about a minute. Mark, before we let you go, any concluding remarks you want to make?
Sure, Jeff. A lot of things have been said about me, either gathering signatures for the gas tax. I wasn't involved. I wasn't team captain for Mike Sullivan. All these things are easily provable. I will forward you the emails to do just that. And then lastly, my supporters and all those groups that I mentioned before are behind me. and we're trying to beat the mass establishment. To do that, we need to raise funds. And I'd ask people to visit our website. It's markfisher2014.com. Hear the real story there. And donate to the campaign to make sure that conservative voice is heard here in Massachusetts. That's all I'm asking.
Mark Fisher, Republican candidate for governor, today named the names. Steve Allward as the middleman, John Cook as the person who wanted to offer him $1 million to step out of the race, allegedly to step aside from the race against Charlie Baker. You heard it here first on the Kuhner Report. Mark, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Take care. 617-266-6868, 8:59. Let's take it to Angela in the newsroom.